Did you know that Netflix is making a docudrama about Cleopatra? Well, that doesn't seem particularly unusual. Cleopatra is a very important historical figure. What's strange about the docudrama is that they've decided to cast a black woman as Cleopatra. The docudrama is called African Queens, Queen Cleopatra. And so I can understand you hear African, and some people who don't know about the history of Africa, the difference between North Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa, you might think, well, African, that must mean that she's African. But Cleopatra very much was not African. She was Macedonian Greek. This is not particularly controversial. And they cast a black actress to play her. This is not complicated. This is just about antipathy toward white people. A while ago, there was a conservative who posted on Twitter and said that Daily Wire's new movie project was going to be a biography, a biopic of Malcolm X, and it was going to star me. And everyone laughed because that would be ridiculous. I don't think that I'm going to be playing Malcolm X. I don't think that Ryan Gosling is going to be playing Martin Luther King Jr. anytime soon. If this happened, not only would people laugh at it, but of course there would be a national uproar. Film studios would shut down. People would burn effigies and set the country on fire. And in the other direction, it doesn't matter. This isn't hypocrisy. This is just antipathy toward white people in our culture. You see this enshrined in the law. White people are basically the only group, though Asians fall into it a little bit too, of people against whom you can discriminate on the basis of race. That's true in college admissions. That's true in employment. And it's true in our popular culture. White people are the only race that you are encouraged to insult and make fun of and deride. It's not only acceptable, but actually encouraged in our culture. And that's just the way it is. And that's what this is about. This is why Cleopatra can be played by a black woman, but I will not be able to play Malcolm X in the new biopic. This is not to say that you can never have any race bending in movies. A great example of, I felt, perfectly suitable race bending was the Denzel Washington Macbeth movie, which is one of maybe the greatest performance of Macbeth I've ever seen. And the reason this was, I felt, totally fine is because we're not talking about a history here. We're not talking about a biopic or a docudrama. We're talking about a very famous play. We're talking about Shakespeare, who is the most important playwright in the English language. And one of the aspects of Shakespeare that has made him so important is that he writes about the human experience. And so while there are different races of people in his plays, that's secondary to what he's saying about human nature. The other reason it didn't really matter all that much is Denzel is just such an incredible actor that I just want to see the guy play Macbeth. He's just a very, very good actor. And it wasn't distracting, and in no way did this casting decision detract from the play. Here, we're talking about not only an historical figure, but a docudrama. So if you know, you're just completely rewriting history, which is what the libs do all the time. We're going to need to tell each other about real history, okay? We're going to need to talk about it. When you want to talk, you got to check out Pure Talk. Right now, go to puretalk.com, use promo code Knowles. Tax season is here. You want to make your accountant happy? I got one super easy way to do it. Switch to Pure Talk. Instead of paying a fortune to Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile, cut your bill in half with Pure Talk. Pure Talk offers unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data starting at just $30 a month and saving the average family over $900 a year. A lot of people think the bigger the provider, the better the service. Let me fill you in on a little secret. Pure Talk uses the same network. I'm not saying a comparable network. I'm saying the exact same network for less. There's no contract, no hidden fees, no hassle. Switch over to Pure Talk in as little as 10 minutes while keeping your phone and your phone number. They're a US-based customer service team, worth the switch just for the US-based customer service team. Make that switch really, really easy. Pure Talk's so sure you're going to love the service. They're backing it up with a 100% money-back guarantee. Your first month is guaranteed risk-free. Go to puretalk.com. Enter promo code Knowles to save 50% off your first month. puretalk.com, promo code Knowles. Pure Talk is simply smarter wireless. Speaking of more racial politics, leftist Congress lady Pramila Jayapal. I'm probably mispronouncing that, but there it goes. Congresswoman Jayapal is arguing for U.S. amnesty for millions of illegal aliens. Millions, really probably tens of millions of illegal aliens. And what's her argument? Why do we need to give a bunch of foreign nationals who are in our country illegally, why do we need to give them amnesty? Well, she says, America needs immigrants in order to survive. Quote, immigrants pick the food we eat, clean our homes. She goes on to list a number of other service industry jobs. And you hear this line all the time. These are the two most shallow left-wing arguments on immigration. They'll say, well, without immigration, you couldn't get tacos. Could you imagine a world without Chinese food? That's why we need to open up our borders and flood our country with 3 million foreigners every year. Well, we can welcome some people in with just completely opening our borders. I think we've got enough taco stands. I like tacos as much as the next guy. We're good. I think we've saturated the taco market. We don't need to ignore our laws, disrupt our social order, upend our self-governing republic in order to get another taco. I think we're good on that. But then the other argument they make is they say, well, there are jobs that Americans won't do. If we don't let desperate foreigners in, who's going to scrub our toilets? Which is offensive to everybody because it insinuates that Americans won't clean. Americans are a pretty cleanly people. If you've ever traveled to Europe, for instance, you'll notice that Americans are almost neurotically hygienic compared to Europeans, certainly compared to really everybody in the world. I haven't traveled extensively through any other places, so my frame of reference is Europe. But I've heard that China is not the most sanitary place. I did go to India once, not all that clean. I've never been to Africa, but I've heard it's not the most enjoyable experience when it comes to basic sanitation. So, no, I think Americans, we could clean our own bathrooms if we wanted to. That's not an argument for breaking the law. Need them to pick our food. I think Americans can pick food. They can do that. But then it's offensive in the other way, too, because immigrants, believe it or not, can do things other than clean our toilets. Immigrants, even from those poor countries in Latin America or the Middle East or Africa or anywhere else, believe it or not, they're human. They can do other jobs. They don't just need to pick grapes and scrub our bathrooms. They can do other things. It's so patronizing, condescending, dehumanizing. It's a perfect Democrat political argument because it is deeply offensive to everybody and not terribly persuasive. Man, how insightful was that? That was a great clip. You can get more great clips. You can get the whole show by subscribing. Ring that bell. Click that button. Do that thing. And subscribe to the Michael Knowles Show YouTube channel. See you next time.